Emma was the only daughter in a family of 6 children. She was the favorite of her father and the apple of her mother's eye. Her parents loved her deeply, and her 5 brothers treated her like a precious treasure. Being the only girl in the house, Emma was given a lot of attention and care. But this love had a downside. She was spoiled to the point where she didn't have to do anything at home. If she wanted something, it was given to her. If something needed to be done, someone else did it for her. Cooking, cleaning, even making her bed, these were tasks Emma never had to worry about. Her brothers did their own chores, and her parents hired help to make sure Emma didn't have to lift a finger. As Emma grew older, her parents started to notice that she lacked basic life skills. But by then, it was too late to change her habits. She had become a beautiful young woman, but she was very lazy. She didn't know how to cook, clean, or manage a household, and she didn't care. She believed her beauty and charm would be enough to get her through life. One day, Emma met John, a hardworking and kind man who fell in love with her at first sight. But John soon realized that Emma was very spoiled and didn't know how to do basic things. However, he didn't mind. He believed that with love and patience, she would learn and grow into the wife he needed. He was willing to help her and was confident she would change over time. Emma and John got married in a beautiful wedding. Her parents spared no expense to make sure their only daughter had the wedding of her dreams. John also did his best to make the day perfect. As they stood at the altar, promising to love each other forever, John looked into Emma's eyes and believed they were starting a wonderful life together. The first few months of their marriage were happy. John, who was a great cook, made all their meals. He prepared delicious soups and stews, always making sure there was something special for Emma to enjoy. He even hired a cleaner to take care of the house so Emma wouldn't feel overwhelmed by chores. Emma was grateful to have married such a caring man. She loved John deeply and appreciated everything he did for her. But despite her gratitude, she made no effort to change her lazy ways. Instead of learning how to cook or take care of the house, she spent her days lounging around, scrolling through her phone, and watching TV. John never complained, but deep down, he was starting to feel frustrated because Emma wasn't trying to improve. One morning, a few months into their marriage, John had to leave for work early. He had an important meeting and needed to be at the office by 6 a.m. Before leaving, he asked Emma for a small favor. "Honey, I made some soup last night, and it's in the pot. Please warm it up for me later so I can have it for dinner when I come back." Emma, who was half asleep, mumbled, "Okay, I'll do it." John smiled, though he was a bit doubtful. He knew Emma's track record with chores, but he hoped she would at least manage to warm up the soup. After all, it was a simple task. As soon as John left, Emma fell back asleep and completely forgot about the soup. She spent the rest of the day in bed, snacking on chips and nuts, and her phone never left her hand. She watched videos, chatted with friends, and enjoyed doing nothing. It wasn't until 5 p.m., 1 hour before John was due to return, that Emma suddenly remembered the soup. She panicked when she realized she hadn't even gotten out of bed, let alone warmed up the soup. She quickly jumped out of bed, freshened up, and rushed to the kitchen. When she opened the pot, a terrible smell hit her. The soup had gone bad because it had been left out too long. Emma wrinkled her nose in disgust but didn't know what to do. In a panic, she turned on the stove and started heating the spoiled soup, hoping the smell would go away. John came home at 6 p.m., tired but looking forward to a relaxing evening with his wife. As soon as he walked in, he was hit by a horrible smell. He knew something was wrong. "What is that smell?" John asked as he walked into the kitchen. Emma, standing by the stove, looked at him guiltily. "I'm warming the soup like you asked," she said, trying to sound innocent. John rushed to the pot and lifted the lid. The smell was awful. His favorite soup was completely ruined. He had spent hours making it the night before, using fresh ingredients and perfect spices. Now, it was just a smelly mess. "Emma, what have you done?" John shouted, clearly angry and disappointed. "This soup is spoiled. Didn't you check it before warming it up?" Emma was shocked by his anger. She had never seen John this upset before. "I'm sorry, John. I forgot to warm it earlier, and when I remembered, it was already like this. I thought heating it would make it better." John couldn't believe what he was hearing. Heating it? Heating spoiled food doesn't make it better, Emma. It makes it worse. How could you be so careless? Do you know how much time and effort I put into making this soup? Tears filled Emma's eyes as she realized her mistake. "I'm really sorry, John. I didn't mean to ruin it. I promise I'll make it up to you. I'll cook another pot of soup tomorrow, and it will be even better than this one." John sighed. He knew Emma had never cooked before, and the idea of her trying to make soup was almost laughable. But he didn't want to argue anymore. He was too tired. "Fine, but don't stress yourself too much. I'll figure something else out for dinner tonight." Emma nodded, relieved that he wasn't as angry anymore. She decided to watch some cooking tutorials on YouTube the next day to learn how to make the soup. How hard could it be? The next day, Emma woke up determined to prove herself. She was going to make the best soup John had ever tasted, and he would forget all about the ruined pot from the day before. She got dressed and went to the market, feeling confident. At the market, she approached a woman selling vegetables and herbs. "Good morning," Emma said with a smile. "I need ingredients to make soup. Can you help me?" The woman looked at her curiously. "Of course. Do you know how to cook it?" "Yes, I do," Emma replied proudly. "Just give me everything I need, and I'll handle the rest." The woman nodded and gathered the ingredients, some greens, spices, and herbs. She handed them to Emma, who paid and left the market feeling pleased with herself. When Emma got home, she decided to watch a YouTube video on how to make the soup to refresh her memory. She found a few videos, but as she scrolled through her recommendations, she saw a live stream from her favorite lifestyle blogger. Without thinking, she clicked on it and got lost in watching the vlogger talk about her latest shopping haul and skincare routine. Hours passed, and Emma completely forgot about the soup. It wasn't until late afternoon that she realized the time and panicked. She rushed to the kitchen, dumped all the ingredients into a pot, and started cooking. As Emma hurriedly threw the ingredients into the pot, she tried to remember what she had seen in the tutorials, but her memory was fuzzy. She stirred the pot, adding water, seasoning, and spices. She then added the greens without washing them and covered the pot. A few minutes later, the kitchen filled with a strong, bitter smell. Emma tasted the soup and immediately spat it out. It was unbearably bitter. "Oh no, this can't be right," she muttered. Her heart raced. She knew John wouldn't be happy if the soup was this bitter, but what could she do? She was running out of time, and John would be home soon. In desperation, Emma opened the fridge and saw a bottle of soda. She had an idea. Soda was sweet, so maybe it could balance out the bitterness. Without thinking, she poured the soda into the pot and stirred it. She tasted the soup again. It was still strange, sweet but with a weird aftertaste, but at least it wasn't as bitter. Satisfied with her quick fix, she turned off the stove. When John came home that evening, Emma greeted him with a smile. "Welcome home. I made you something special." John smiled, happy to see her in good spirits. "Thank you, dear. I'm looking forward to it." He washed his hands and sat down at the table. Emma served him a bowl of the soup and some bread she had bought. She watched nervously as John took his first bite. His face twisted in disgust, and he immediately spat it out. "What is this? What did you put in the soup?" Emma's heart sank. "It's soup, like you wanted," she said, trying to sound confident. "This is not soup, Emma. This is—" "I don't even know what this is," John said, pushing the bowl away. "It's too sweet and bitter at the same time. Did you put sugar and something else in it?" Emma shook her head. "No, I didn't put sugar. I only added some soda because the soup was too bitter. I thought it would help." "Soda?" John stared at her in disbelief. "You put soda in soup? Have you lost your mind, Emma? This is terrible. How could you do this?" Emma felt hurt and unappreciated. She had tried her best, hadn't she? She had spent the whole day cooking for him, and this was the thanks she got. "Why are you being so ungrateful?" she snapped. "I went to the market, bought all the ingredients, and spent hours cooking this for you. And now you're yelling at me because it's not perfect." John couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Ungrateful? Emma, I've been patient with you. I've cooked, cleaned, and taken care of everything because you don't want to lift a finger. I've asked you to learn how to cook, but you haven't tried. And now you expect me to eat this mess and be grateful?" Emma was too hurt to respond. She stormed out of the dining room, leaving John standing there, shaking his head in frustration. The tension between Emma and John lasted for days after the soup incident. Emma stayed quiet, and John kept his distance, too disappointed to even look at her. The atmosphere in their home turned cold, and neither of them was ready to make up. Then, one evening, John came home with a surprise. He brought a young woman named Lisa into the house. Emma, sitting in the living room, looked up in confusion. "Emma, this is Lisa," John said coldly. "She's going to be our new cook." Emma's heart sank as she looked at Lisa. She was beautiful and elegant, and Emma felt insecure. "A new cook?" Emma asked. "Why do we need a new cook?" "Because I'm tired of eating bad food or having to cook after a long day at work. Lisa will take care of the meals from now on." Emma felt humiliated. She had always known she wasn't a good cook, but to have her husband hire someone else to do what she should have been doing was hard to accept. But instead of arguing, she forced a smile and nodded. "Fine, if that's what you want." Over the next few weeks, Lisa took over the kitchen, and John started praising her cooking. Every night, he would come home to a delicious meal. He even bought Lisa gifts and complimented her in front of Emma. Emma couldn't take it anymore. She knew if she didn't do something, she might lose John to Lisa because of food. No. Emma decided to learn how to cook. She started watching cooking tutorials online, taking notes, and practicing in the kitchen when Lisa wasn't around. At first, her attempts were messy, and she burned a few dishes, but she kept trying. She was determined to win back John's admiration. After weeks of practice, Emma finally decided to try cooking for John. One evening, as Lisa was about to make dinner, Emma stopped her. "Lisa, don't worry. I'll cook for my husband tonight." Lisa was surprised. "Ma, John will be upset if the food isn't good. Please, let me cook. He won't be happy if I don't do my job." But Emma insisted. "I understand, Lisa, but I've been learning. Don't worry, I'll take responsibility if it doesn't turn out well." Lisa stepped back and let Emma cook. When John came home, Emma told Lisa to serve the food but to call her if anything went wrong. Lisa agreed and served the meal. As John took his first bite, he noticed the food tasted different. He took another bite, then another, and before he knew it, he had finished everything. He called Lisa and praised her. "You've outdone yourself, Lisa. This is the best meal you've made so far. You deserve a gift for this." Lisa was surprised but honest. "Thank you, sir, but I didn't make this. Your wife cooked it." John couldn't believe it. "Did Emma threaten you?" "Because I know my wife can't cook." Lisa shook her head. "I'm serious, sir. Your wife made this. She wanted to surprise you and asked me to take a break. She did everything herself." John was shocked but decided to see for himself. The next day, John came home early and watched Emma cook. She made his favorite soup, and when he tasted it, he was amazed. "Emma, this is the best soup I've ever had." Emma's heart swelled with pride. "Really? I'm so glad you like it." That night, they shared a peaceful dinner, and their home was filled with laughter and love again. John was proud of Emma, and Emma was happy to have finally learned how to cook. Their relationship grew stronger, and they worked together to build a happy home.